Hello everyone, happy Independence Day. We welcome to our first Google Hangout for Site HR. And for this Hangout, what we will bring in is a case discussion, a live case discussion by a member, shared by a member within our community, which is very close to what we might face on our daily work station or daily work environments. And we would also bring in our community leaders to discuss a solution live with you. This is our first presentation. Going forward, we would invite you to join in if you have a problem, if you have a query, we would invite you to join in. We would allow you to remain anonymous. We can also hide your video mode so that if you want to hide your identity, you can still hide it. Have a live discussion with our experts worldwide and find the best solution for your company or for yourself. So today allow me to introduce our speaker, our community leader, Mr. Taj Satish. He is one of our moderator and had made more than 2,979 posts so far. He is very well respected for all the contributions that he made, and he is a mentor to many HRs across the country. So join me in welcoming Mr. Taj Satish. Hello, sir. Thank you so much for joining in.
Hi everyone, and happy Independence Day to all those in India. And basically my background has been purely technical. That I am into HR today, I don't know whether to call it a coincidence or a providence. That's up to each individual to judge. I did my engineering in electrical, then moved to instrumentation by work, and further to IT, and then all the knowledge which I gathered during my actual working life when I used to work. Now I'm on my own, heading a recruitment consultant company, and all the technical knowledge which I gained during my working life, that's getting to be of a great use when I am participating in Site HR. Because quite often it happens that a problem essentially is not just purely a recruitment problem or a HR problem. There are quite a few facets of every problem which get connected to different technical areas. If I'm a good programmer, I mean, my relationship with the boss is something else, and if I am not a good programmer, it is totally something else. So essentially, a lot of technical angles get introduced into the situation. I wouldn't really call it a problem, but a situation or circumstances. So that's how I'm able to contribute, and I do hope I continue to contribute.
Thank you so much, sir. It's an honor for us. It's absolutely an honor for us to be mentored by you. Today, what we are going to discuss is a case shared by a member on the problems faced during the exit process. The case, as shared by him, says that the employee is already working with a software company but on a vendor payrolls, which is how the HR to this person is remotely located. Hence, when our member is trying to resign and leave the job, the HR from the remote location is not responding. We often have these kind of work arrangement in our IT companies wherein they don't really hire every employee on their payrolls, and they keep employee on the vendor payrolls. And these vendor payroll employee are managed, are in a dotted reporting structure. They report to the functional leaders within the software company, and they remain a payroll employee to that vendor company. Now, the problem begins when there are these situations where the employee needs a leave, probably a leave request, application, or even a reimbursement. So this is critical because the employee has to leave within next 12 days. There had been no response from the HR in the vendor company. The functional leads are there, but then what should the member do? So could you please explain and then share the solution?
There are a few gray areas in the inputs you gave, Nambamita. Number one is based on what you mentioned. I gather that the member has mailed his resignation to the HR of the payroll company, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Apart from the HR, was there any other controlling manager from the payroll company? That's unclear. Some payroll companies have it, some companies don't have it. The employees who are outside the company premises working with clients at the client's place,
Right.
some companies have an arrangement where the HR would be handling the administrative tasks and any technical issues or any specific client related issues, project coordination or
Right.
project monitoring. There would be a technical person interacting with the employee. I mean, this particular angle is not clear here. So I'm not sure if he has forwarded to the HR only because the procedure demands it, or because there is no other entity or no other person with whom he is interacting within the payroll company. That's one point. Another thing is, usually in such circumstances, I would suggest you take the end client or the reporting manager at the client premises into confidence. Obviously, end of the day, uh, when this employee leaves, how and all is a different aspect altogether. But when this person resigns and he has to leave, if not within 30 days of the notice period, maybe a few days later, but at some point of time he will be leaving. The final work which is getting affected is of the client, because the payroll company will have to put another person there.
Right.
I'm not sure whether this employee has revealed that he has resigned to the client company's reporting manager. It's a bit unclear. But if he has not done that, he or she has not done that, I suggest this person takes the reporting manager at the client premises into confidence and tell them, look, this is the step I have taken. That essentially will handle two things in parallel. One is, it maintains this individual's relationship with the client, because after all, let's face it, at the end of the day, world is a very small place. Who knows, this employee may have to work with this reporting manager at the client place later on in his career. That's
True.
one part. The relationship, the interaction would still be a positive one. Second thing is, the reporting manager gets an indication or advance notice to ask the payroll company to start looking for a replacement, because at the end of the day, it is
True.
his work which is getting affected. The payroll company, whether if it's a big company, this employee may be just another employee code. Just one number about among the so many hundreds of employees who are on payroll.
Hmm.
So end of the day, this reporting manager's work gets affected at the client company. So it's up to him, and I'm his or her place, they would
Hmm.
definitely will put pressure on the payroll company to start looking for replacement immediately before this person leaves, because KT knowledge transfer also is involved.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Right.
that I'm not sure whether, at least the inputs don't mention anything about that.
Right.
So usually I would suggest this is the best way to put a client, to put a pressure of a proper exiting from the payroll company.
Right. Right.
And,
Exactly. Very true. I completely agree. Connecting with the current reporting manager and thereby connecting the payroll HR through him would be great, because
yeah,
anyhow the work needs to be delivered, and the entire knowledge transfer which our member is going to do, I I would suggest that it should be under proper guidance and under with proper signing authorities. Every document that the employee would hand over has to be has to be acknowledged, that this amount of skill set has been transferred, this amount of documents have been submitted. Every communication has to be crystal clear as per the process, with signing, and documents or copies to be maintained by the member and the parent company. This is what I would suggest. Uh, I don't see much of a problem for the payroll HR. It can be just a transportation, logistic kind of a problem, which is why probably the HR missed and they might revert in a while. But this can create a great hassle, just as you pointed it out, that the payroll company will have to find, the vendor company will have to find somebody and have to refill that position. So I think
True.
since the work is greater from their end, they should act early and give this person a clearance.
No, but there is a slight, I wouldn't call it a twist, but there is a slight uh, point of view change, Nambomita.
Mhm.
What you're saying is right. The payroll company has to find a replacement. True.
Right.
Okay. But I mean, let's face it. Human psychology, essentially, you, me, everybody, yeah, we basically tend to act only when we need to act.
Student syndrome,
Okay,
right?
I mean, the age doesn't matter, the level of the person doesn't matter. I mean, very few people. I won't say it is across the board, but in general, exceptions definitely are always there for any rule. Okay, but in general, a person acts only when he or she needs to act. Now, the reason why I was suggesting, let him talk to the clients and reporting manager, and then let the reporting manager also take up directly at the official channels and the official channels and the official level with the payroll company, is
Mm-hmm.
to put that pressure on the payroll company. That's when the things start moving in the direction where you were suggesting. So
Yes,
until that pressure is there, at the end of the day, it is not the employee who will be paying, who will be generating revenue. I mean, the
right,
employee will be generating the revenue, fine, but the revenue, the check will be coming from the client company.
right.
Okay, so
Exactly.
I'm not saying all companies are like that. I mean, there are some companies which are good, there are some companies which are great, some companies which are bad, some companies which are atrocious. Whether we like it or not, there is a wide spread of spectrum of the ethics usually used within the companies. Okay, so until they feel the pinch,
Hmm.
payroll company feels the pinch sometimes. They
Hmm.
wouldn't act. So when would they feel the pinch? When they know the next check won't come. If the guy
Hmm.
leaves,
Hmm.
or if the client and the reporting manager is unhappy,
Yes,
there would be a problem in the next check coming in. So
yes.
that's when they definitely need to act. And one more advantage when this employee involves the reporting manager is, as an employee, at the most he can approach the HR guy or his corresponding technical person within the payroll company. Whereas
Yes,
the reporting manager can cut across, if he wants, he can escalate it directly to the CEO of the payroll company.
exactly, exactly.
Okay, and so that the employee is not, he is only taking another helping hand, which has
Hmm.
a much larger hand than he has.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. Very true. The student syndrome part, which you pointed out, it's the, I mean, it's extremely, extremely strange, but yeah, it works. That we, even as HR, we don't act unless there's a pressure from the business side or there's a pressure from the
It's
client
true.
side. Yes, I mean the work happens, the work paces up and happens at a very different level. Exactly. I say I hope our member is watching this video, or even anybody else who is working in a similar kind of a arrangement with reporting structure, with dotted line reporting structures, and several levels. I mean, several levels of leaders to address. I think this can stand the solution. Is there anything else that you would want to add?
For
Because
the present, without any more inputs, it becomes tough to talk in terms of presumptions. I don't know. So different possibilities can exist within. I mean, even if the situation for two individuals is the same, there would definitely be changes in nuances of small issues which starts influencing the overall core issue.
true.
But in general, involving the client and reporting manager usually always ought to work. Now,
Exactly.
how he involves, there again, there's a difference of this thing. I mean, I may say, look, I may talk to the reporting manager at the client end, saying in a complaining tone, my payroll company is not relieving me, all useless characters. I mean, they are like this, they are like that. I mean, I can do that way. I can also say, look, I have a problem. Can you please help me out?
Yes, yes.
And at the end of the day, also, I mean, if the employee is slightly more appreciative of the problems from the payroll company side, of the problems from the client end side, the employee may say, look, at the end of the day, it is you who will be getting affected. So we are in
Yes.
it together. It is not my
Yes.
problem, your problem, or payroll company problem. It is our problem. So let's
Yes.
solve it. I mean, I'm sure any mature person at the client side would definitely extend a helping hand.
Yes, I mean, totally. Setting the tone is where the key lies.
Right.
Unless the client side, the client reporting, the reporting manager at the client side is stepping in within, I mean, with a kind of an urgency which you pointed out that at the end of the day the position would remain vacant into 12 days. So you guys better act. So yeah, I mean, working towards the common vision will definitely yield a better result. So that would remain our solution to the member.
Right.
Satish, other than this, there's another case that I would request you to talk about, and that's with regards to the openness of employers towards social media. If you, I mean, if you could share that, please.
Okay. Basically, there are different ways of looking at it. Uh, in a nutshell, I would say, I mean, world is changing. I remember one line from one of Shakespeare's works. I don't remember which play he used it.
Mm-hmm.
Change is the only constant.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Change is the
Right.
only constant. There's nothing else constant in life or
Right.
in world. I mean, in environment. Except that it will change. What is today will change tomorrow. What is tomorrow will change after tomorrow. Period.
Right.
There was a time. I mean, I'm not exactly digressing. I just want to touch another point and bring it back to this. There was a time when I worked on a 40 MB hard disk, 40 MB megabit hard disk, which was the size of uh, maybe 4 or 5 times the size of a standard mobile phone we use today.
Right.
Or let's say a
Totally.
book. Let's say a
Totally.
book. Okay,
Yes.
40 MB, that was the capacity, and when that time when 80 MB hard disk came from Seagate Technologies, I mean, it was supposed to be a wonder. I mean, how come this can hold 80 MB of data? And now a chip has GB, forget about MBs. MBs is gone. Okay,
Right.
I mean, so change is the way of life, whether we like it or not. And
Hmm.
once when you apply it to organizations,
Hmm.
I remember another quote. If you do business today with
Hmm.
yesterday's methods, you
Right.
are not in business tomorrow, period.
True. True.
Yesterday's methods were for yesterday. Today's
Right.
how to devise new methods because things will change. I mean, if we
Exactly.
consider that if we accept the fact that things will change, it is not even a question of may change. It will change, whether we like it or not. That's how things are. That's how world is.
Right.
We need to devise ways of handling today's situations with today's solutions. Otherwise,
Exactly.
tomorrow as good as closed. I mean, I'm sure everybody would, if you just make a list of the last 20 years of corporate history worldwide, so
Mm-hmm.
many companies have closed down, so many big companies have closed down, so many companies have grown just because they adapted change. They were very adaptive to change and then went on like changing themselves, their own policies and structures and all. Now coming, applying this to the social media, earlier generation, when I'm saying earlier generation, I mean nowadays even generation gap is in terms of few years. It was not like a gap of 10, 20, 30 years when you can say less than a gap of 20 years means the next generation coming in. Now, a 20-year-old kid or 20-year-old person, the technology exposure and the levels of expectations from technology is not very different from a 25-year-old person. So by and large, the generation gaps have been very closely, I mean, coming very close now.
Right.
So there was a time when you can draw a line saying that you should not do this, you should do only this in the office. I mean, I'm not
Right.
referring to any IT company or a non-IT company. In general, I'm typical in a non-IT environment when we talk about union trade unions and all. Okay, so in an IT environment, there used to be written rules, some unwritten rules. You have to do this. You shouldn't do that. If you have lunchtime, it has to be only between 1 and 1:30, nothing else. If you come late by 5 minutes, half day leave gone. I mean, all those. Uh, and let me make one thing very clear. All these are not a right or wrong issue at all. There's nothing right or wrong in this. Yesterday they were right, yes, but in today's environment they may be wrong.
Right.
So unless you adapt the situations according to today's world and today's needs and today's expectations, there's no way such companies will have some peace of mind. End of the day, for everybody, it's peace of mind, whether it is the CEO of the company or whether it is the Aam Aadmi or whatever you call it.
True.
Okay.
True.
I remember reading in Economic Times yesterday. I don't know whether this is a coincidence or what, but in Economic Times, I read an article where some companies in Pune have given official opportunity to the employees to work on social media sites. Social
Right.
media sites, buying tickets online and all.
Helpship in Jambe. True.
All right. Okay. So that I would say that definitely is a very good way of handling the problem. And at the same time, I don't recollect the names, but I remember at least one or two companies used
Jambe.
that
Jambe
time.
and Help Shift.
Pardon?
It's Jambe and Help Shift. Help Shift.
Yeah, I think the article also mentioned a few other companies. Okay.
Right.
So I don't remember which company, but those companies, while the employees were on social websites during a specific period, time, half an hour or 1 hour or whatever time slot was assigned, the employees were also asked to suggest, using those the social media sites, to suggest some solutions for the company. I remember one specific case which was mentioned in that article in Economic Times yesterday, 14th August 2014, was arranging, redoing the office environment, this thing, furniture, putting this way, or I mean different this thing. So in a way, the employee is using the social media. You're not cutting it off, but at the same time, the company is using their inputs to change the office environment. This thing. So in a way, I don't know whether this was intended or unintended by the management or the company heads. In a way, they are also inculcating a sense of belonging in the employees.
Yes.
When I suggest and it is implemented by the company, I'll definitely feel much better than if I were given a say a 5 or a 6% hike.
Yes.
Look what I mean, and suppose I bring some friend of mine or maybe my kids or somebody or my wife. Look, I suggested this, so this was implemented by the company. I mean, it gives a sense of, number one, belonging, since a sense of gives a sense of fulfillment to the employee.
True.
So I'm sure this sort of, and I don't think this is the only way. I mean, once when people start thinking out of the box, I'm sure solutions will come out.
Yes.
But putting a bar, frankly, I don't think it will work for a long time. For some time, possibly, yes, it will work. But beyond a point, you have to come out with out-of-the-box solutions to such things.
Yes, exactly. I completely agree with you. We are in an era wherein we have the policy of bring your own device. When we are allowing our employees to bring their own device, we cannot really sit and say what to do with that device. We have to give them the ownership to what to do with that device and how to make a change. Just as you shared the case study from Help Chit and Help Jambe. Yes, very true. They have used the independence, the freedom that they had given to that employee, and what the company requires to the best. I mean, to its best. I would suggest the companies, there are many companies, I mean, not just few, there are many companies who are using social media to establish employee ambassadorship. They are using social media to create a best employer campaign. They are using social media to reach the talent pool, the future employees. So the best way, I mean, one way is of course the static way, where the employees share what is going around, what is going within the company, how cool the organization is. The other way is
there is a subtle difference in the scenario what you're saying and the basic first question itself, Nabomita. What you're mentioning, the employer using the social media for all these activities.
No, no, I'm coming to the point. I'm coming to the point. What the employer does is, why went to the point was, generally when we see an article or some campaign by an employer on how cool the organization is, we don't really buy it out all the time, right? We see it, we know it is a kind of a tailored campaign. But when we see employees sharing on their own what they are doing, we find it cool, far more cooler, right? So
Right,
the
right,
degree
right,
of acceptance increases to a far greater level. That's what I'm suggesting. Many companies are
right.
doing this. There's, Dell has used Pinterest to share what the employee is doing over a weekend, or how cool their workplaces are, how cool the culture is. I believe driving ambassadorship, driving an employee a program through the employee and their usage in social media will make it far more effective.
Yeah, you're
Even
right.
even areas such as employee blogging,
Mm.
blogs maintained by the employee or tweets by the employee. On Twitter, we see it on and often that tweets are my own, opinions are my own. Definitely, they put it on their profile to declare that it's them who are sharing their thoughts and views. It's not from their employer point of view. What this kind of a what this kind of a usage can do is, if the employee goes ahead and also share what had happened, what they had learned at the works at their environment, or with their training program, or what they are learning on a day-to-day basis, whatever that they can share beyond the which doesn't fall into that confidentiality agreement. So that will create a far greater impact. That will create a far greater buy-ins within their future employee, and that will also help maintain alumni of the employer. Employees who are leaving the company and working somewhere else, they can still keep in touch with the kind of a culture that they liked about the employer, which creates a greater chances for them to return.
Yeah,
So
right,
yes,
right.
I do see a lot of usage on social media. We will
Yeah.
definitely, there are so many to share a little. I had taken sessions on social media. I had taken it with National Thermal Park Corporation. I had taken it with many other companies and colleges. So we can do is we can keep a separate session on this. For
Sure.
that, we are also inviting employers who are watching this talk, who are watching this session, to write to us, share any problem that you're facing, any escalation that you're facing, or even if you're an employee or an individual running a firm, at whatever level you are, if you have a HR based problem, you can write to us at you can write to my email ID at which is navamita@cite.co. And you can also tweet to us at our Twitter handle and Facebook, which is mentioned below. What we would do is, once you write to us, depending on the kind of confidential level that you want to that you would want to maintain, we can even keep you completely hidden. Your pictures won't be shared. Your identity will never be shared with anyone. We will just hear you. We will just be able to hear you and solve it live, because you sharing what the current situation is with our experts. Mr. Satish is there. There are more experts whom we can invite depending on the area of the problem that you may have. A live discussion will help solve your problem right in there. So yes, this is our request to you. We are looking forward to hear from you. We are going to bring in many more sessions like this, and we would hear Satish for many other sessions as well. So thank you
Uh,
so much, Satish. To conclude, would you want to add something?
it's been a pleasure to start off on the Hangout at SiteHR, and I'm sure one basic as well as a very crucial difference between such sessions with any other portals essentially is we are talking here about live real-time problems which people members are facing today, here and now. We are not, it is not a sort of we are discussing about a seminar topic or something like that. So obviously it gives a pleasure to participate in the solution of another member's problems.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving your time, working for a vision like this. I mean, it's absolutely an honor for me to host this session with you. We with this we close the session. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot to all our viewers, and we wait to hear from you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.